Welcome, everyone, to episode 25 of the What Sales and Marketing Got to Do With It podcast. My name is Gemma Adair, founder and principal marketing consultant at Riada Consultancy. This podcast aims to delve deep into the minds of sales and marketing industry leaders, uncovering what keeps them up at night, what drives their passion, and how they execute successful strategies in both their personal and professional lives. I'm delighted to welcome Jenny Green. She is Group Marketing Director at Sigma Connected Group. Great to have you, Jenny.
Oh, thank you, Gemma. It's lovely to be here.
Perfect. Awesome. No, it's great to have you. Great to have you. And thank you very much for taking the time out on your busy day. So
You're welcome.
So please introduce who you are and what you do.
Right. Oh, this is the one everybody hates. So I'm Jenny Green, as Gemma introduced. I've been working in B2B marketing now for maybe nearly over 20 years. I shouldn't say nearly 20 years, trying to lie about my age there, but over 20 years. And at the moment I'm working for a company called Sigma Connected. I've been here for about 3 years, and Sigma's it's an outsourcing company, which is where outsourcing was an industry where I spent nearly 17 years of my marketing career. So it's an industry I know well. It's a great company to work for. I'm enjoying it.
Oh, great. Interesting enough. I know the audience would love to hear, when and where did your marketing journey begin?
Well, my marketing journey began all the way back at university. And I went to university to do a psychology degree and ended up doing a psychology and marketing joint honours, and way back in the day. And so marketing then became of interest to me. And the way that I think, before I knew what marketing was, I just thought it was like advertising and pretty pictures and colorings and things like that. Coloring in is what we always joke that marketeers do. And then when I got to understand a little bit more about, how data-led it worked and how actually there was a science behind it, not just a creative side to it, I started to really fall in love with it. So my first real job out after university was a marketing job for a company called Manpower. It's still around actually, and they were recruitment consultants. And I spent about 4 years there, sort of building the groundwork of what it's really like to work in a marketing environment, in a B2B marketing environment. So Manpower, we were doing B2B and B2C because we had to recruit people in. But yeah, that was the groundwork. That was like, it's not just about the textbooks. It's not just it's putting it into real life. And then from there, I joined an organisation which I know you know, Gemma, which is Capita. And I actually spent 17 years at Capita, which when I look back, I think, gracious, how did I do that? But actually, Capita was a hugely fast-growing organisation, very acquisition hungry. Plus, organic growth was really big. So every couple of years, you moved on to another sort of area or another department or another business even. And so I spent a lot of time at Capita doing, I'd say, a mix of marketing and communications. So I did a lot of what we would now probably term, employee engagement stuff at Capita as well. But then in the last 7 years, I went in and I was group marketing director there, looking after the corporate marketing activities, so the brand, our corporate positioning, what we stood for as an overall organisation. And I loved it. I saw so much change at Capita and learned so much. Since then, I've had another couple of roles, all in the B2B marketing, and so I continue to really enjoy that space, I think, and I don't tire of it. And if I look back now where I started, I mean, this ages me, Gemma, but when I started, this really does age me. We didn't have everything was printed. right? So
Mm.
I spent a lot of time learning about color processes at printers, going and checking print work, on the printing press, checking things were coming off right, things like that. It was completely different. I remember we spent a lot of time as well putting things on bikes. So you would have a artwork biked over to you, and then you would mark it up, and then you would package it up and bike it back to the creatives, and on motorbikes or cycles. And now, you just the whole, it's just completely changed, but for the better.
Oh, that sounds amazing story. Like the transition,
The
what
transition
was
I've
what was
seen,
then.
yeah, has been unbelievable, I think, and the access now that we have to data and insight about
Mm,
our clients and the way they act and what they do, how they engage, where they want to absorb information. It can blow your mind sometimes.
definitely, definitely.
Yeah.
And trying to get your head around everything as well, just as a marketer can be a bit tricky.
It can, and knowing what is worth spending your
Time.
mind time on, because I think there's so much data available that you can spend a lot of time like just drowning in it and not actually seeing the wood for the trees. And it's I think it's a real skill now that people have got to have. It is right. There's so much information available to me. What is going to help me make my campaigns perform better and make my help people move down the pipeline quicker so that I actually get
Mm,
a sale out of it. And I think you've got to cut through some of the data and focus yourself to and it's challenging.
definitely. Oh,
Yeah.
definitely. Given what you've just mentioned, and you've taken us from past to present day, what what challenges have you faced in your career in marketing? And if so, what were they and how did you overcome them?
Yeah. Oh gosh. I mean, face challenges every day to different sizes. I think,
Yeah.
I probably, on reflection, spent too long in the same organization. So when I came out of there, that was a huge challenge for me, looking for a new
Mm,
role. Looking for a new role, it was a challenge for me, but it was also a challenge for people that were interviewing me and want, like, what am I mindset into a certain way, which was the capital way, am I able to
mm,
do things differently for different organizations? So I think on reflection, I probably spent too long in that organization, but at the time it was great and I loved it, so I don't have any regrets. And I came out and I found a new role pretty quickly anyway, so it was all right. But I think sometimes you know I I don't know if this is a woman thing, and I probably shouldn't say that because men probably feel that way as well, but we feel the need to prove ourselves.
mm,
I felt very much coming out of Capita that I
yeah.
needed to prove myself, that I was a competent marketer outside of the sort of the safety of Capita, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
Um, I think equally challenging was coming out of after maternity leave,
Okay.
and even in just a year, your confidence gets knocked a bit, and things move on, organizations move on. Marketing doesn't move that quickly, but in a year things do change, and that's the challenge as well, getting your head back around that and getting your
Mm,
confidence up, and not feeling all the time like you're behind, and that's I don't know, if you've ever sort of interviewed any mothers on the podcast, but
mm,
some of the challenges that you have as a mother is, like spending the appropriate time at work and with your
um,
child and with your caring for your household and feeding people and washing clothes. And sometimes that can be a real challenge, and um getting through that can be difficult, and you were always trying to prove that you're the one, that you're. I remember when I came back from maternity leave, because my office was in London, I worked from
mm,
home. I needed to work from home much more, and then it was the days before COVID, so people weren't that used to home workers. That we've got much more trust now, haven't we, between
yes, yeah.
organizations about, delivery. So I always felt like I had to produce, I had to
Mm,
prove that I'm working from home, but I'm incredibly productive. Look at
yeah,
everything I can do. And you put stress and strains on yourself. And,
you do.
when I look back at my younger self now, I just wish I'd had more confidence in my ability, I think. And I think that's what I say to people. I have a mentee actually who's, you know, um, that I was talking to, and I was just saying, have more confidence in what you can do, because actually you can do lots of things that other people can't do. You just don't see it yourself.
Yes,
Uh,
yes.
and I wish we were talking about challenges and how we got over them. I'm not sure I got over those challenges myself particularly well. But I say to people now, or advice to people, is like, believe in yourself, and believe that you can do, and you'll prove to people that you can. So yeah, I don't know if I answered the question there, Gemma,
No,
or if
that's
I went off
brilliant.
on a
No,
little bit of a
no, no.
tangent of a chit chatting about my my
No,
struggles with life.
you did answer the question, and I think you kind of took us through sort of a real prime example there of being a mom and coming back from maternity and
Yeah,
trying to kind of understand all of that, but also to go back into the workplace and, things change and people may have moved or, the
yeah,
organization may have changed or
yeah,
shifted in that time period. So I think there's a lot to
yeah.
be, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and I think nowadays as well, the challenge, and I think, well, I like to say, I hope other people have this challenge as well. It's a good challenge. It's keeping up with the changes that are going on in,
yeah.
there's that classic diagram, isn't there, of the list of Martech tools that every sort of year just gets bigger, 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 bigger. And it's like, what is the right tool for me? And we don't all have so much budget that we can buy, especially not in B2B, that we can buy every tool that's going to do everything. So what's going to work for us, and how do we assess that, and how do we keep track of like what's out there and what's available? That is a big challenge, I think, for everybody at the moment. Yeah, and I mean, and if I was looking at the ways to get around that, I mean, I do believe. Oh, I believe talking with people, you know, that's how you learn, I think, is talking with peers, talking with agencies, talking with people that I don't know, if you're interviewing for a role, talking to them about what they're experiencing, because you can learn so much from just talking to people, and what they're doing, and learn from them, I think is a great way to face that challenge.
So, given what you've taken us through, and I think a lot of the things that you would resonate with a lot of people, what does a day in the life of Jenny look like currently?
Ooh, where do you want me to start? Do you want me to start? I get up early. Okay, I'm a person that likes to front load everything. So I front load my day, I front load my week. I get up early, and I like to, I take the dog out for the walk, and I like to be at my desk about 7:15 when nobody else is around. And because I just find that's when I can sort of regroup, right, focus. What have I got to achieve today? Who am I seeing today? What do meetings are happening that I need to have a little think about ahead of the meeting?
Mm, yeah.
Um, I'm not a fly by the seat of your pants type girl. I like to be prepared for things. So I like to have that time just to kind of get myself ready for the day, understand what's going on, and make sure I get the most out of the day. But so when I say I front load, by about 5 o'clock, I'm done, I'm gone. But I spend the day, I mean, as we all do now, on Teams meetings. Talking to my team on Teams, talking to sales on Teams, talking to everybody on Teams, and yeah, whether I'm starting a new project, or in the middle of a project, or just overseeing a project that one of my team are delivering. I like to be quite not controlling. Others might say it's controlling, but I like to know what's going on. I like to be
Going
quite
on.
close to it. I like to be able to think around what people are doing so that I can add value. um, I think, I don't just like, if somebody's going to come and talk to me a project they're working on, I want to think, I've thought about it a little bit, so I can ask the right questions, and give some input that is going to be value to them, rather than just a tick book exercise. Well, Jenny's seen it now, so that's all okay.
Yeah.
And so the day is spent really like that. And I'm very naughty. I rarely take a lunch break. I mean, I always eat, but I don't take a lunch break. I
Yeah.
work through, and then, but I don't work late into the evening. I like to finish, and then 5:30, and then pick up my the rest of my life, if that makes sense. That sits outside of work.
Yeah, it does make sense. And I think to your point on, just kind of understanding what the team is doing and adding value. And you may have, let's say, been in a meeting, a leadership meeting, let's say, and information came through to you that you could then add to the conversation, or any sort of guidance, given your experience. And I think given the role that you sit in, it's good for you to kind of have that visibility and so
Yeah,
on.
yeah. I think so, and I think it's it's a bit of a cliche, isn't it? Seeing the big picture, seeing the whole thing. But
Mm.
I think, when you're privileged enough to be in a director role, then you do see what everybody is doing, which enables you
Mm.
to sort of, like, be the conductor of the orchestra, and
Mm.
know when somebody needs to come in, or know when somebody needs to turn something down a bit, and I think that's why I do like to work closely with my team, and I, I like to know, not only what they're doing, but how they work and how they like to work, and what
Mm.
inspires them, what fires them, that kind of thing. Because then, it's about getting the best out of the team as a whole, isn't it?
Yeah.
You are your team. We are the whole orchestra, and if we haven't got the lead violin playing well enough, then, like, the whole orchestra, the tune fails. So that's what I do like to, be close with my team, and in fact, many of my team have become friends over the years, in the past, and I keep in touch with a lot of people, um, because it's nice to form relationships that go beyond. It's not that we're hanging out all the time, but it's like, relationships that are more than professional. I think,
Yes,
they can be friendship, they can be, friendly advice and peer friendships as well. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, something you've
yeah.
got to nurture, just like, we do in campaigns with marketing and stuff like that. It's kind of
Yes, yes,
nurturing that relationship.
yeah,
I love your analogy with the whole orchestra.
yes,
I
yeah,
think that's amazing. I think that's
yeah.
brilliant. Brilliant
I
example.
wish, yeah, I wish I had my team with the size of a full orchestra at the moment. Yeah, we'll manage with a four-piece orchestra, a four-piece quartet, or
Oh,
whatever at the
I
moment.
bet you do brilliantly. I bet you do brilliantly.
Oh,
Yeah, even though it's a small orchestra. Um, Interesting enough, on the marketing point, what would you say you like most about marketing, and why?
um, I love working with brand. I've always
Mm.
loved working with brand, and building a brand, and creating almost like a following for that brand. If so it's about, I love taking a company, and enabling it to identify with a mark, and some colors, and then some key messages, and then some design styles. So it's all pieces of that brand that then create a sort of, this is what the company stands for, and then having people understand it and feel aligned to it, affiliated with it, both internally and externally. And I've always loved brand work, and I did a lot of brand work in Capita,
Capita.
which was always a struggle, Gemma, because people love to hate Capita, because it was a big outsourcing company that did a
Yeah,
lot of government contracts. And people love to hate Capita, but they always knew who Capita was, and they always
was.
knew what we did.
Yeah.
And so love it or hate it, the brand stood for something. And
Mm,
I joined Sigma Connected, and the brand, it wasn't a known brand at all. And we a small player in contact center outsourcing, predominantly collections for the energy industry, and we want big hopes to be a bigger organization doing much more customer experience stuff for a wide range of organizations. And I think 3 years on, we've done some really great things, team and I, around the brand of Sigma Connected. So I don't expect you or many of your readers to have heard of it, but think in the industry of what we call CX, customer experience, we are now known as a challenger brand. So we're not the Teleperformances, the Capitals, or whatever, the
yes.
Webhead,
Yeah.
but we're here. We're biting at the heels. We're jumping up to bite at the heels. We're one of those challenger brands that can do something a little bit different. And it's been
Nice.
3 years of hard work, and I'm really looking forward actually to seeing how that evolves over the next 3 years, and how we can maintain that kind of challenger brand feel about us as we grow bigger and bigger. Because I think when you're a challenger brand, part of or something that people love about the smaller brands, isn't it? It's about being the biggest, that being a really important client for them. They don't want to get lost in a plethora of
That's
clients and
different.
become with unimportant to the company. And what we've got at the moment is a really sort of family feel, and people get treated, clients get treated really well. They're very important to us, and they know that, and we respect them, etc. I'm not saying people don't respect their clients, but you know what I mean. And we need to
Mm,
maintain that family feeling as we grow,
yeah.
and then we're growing really rapidly, and so that's going to be a challenge, I think, for us as an organization. How do we keep that family feel? How do we keep that mentality within our employees, and also for our
Mm,
clients to feel part of our family as we get bigger and bigger. So next
definitely.
3 years are going to be exciting. So I think to answer it briefly, that I think branding is the thing that I love the most about
Oh,
marketing.
I can definitely tell because you kind of light up when you talk about it. You definitely do. And I think people, because there is a misconception question coming up, but I think people have misconceptions about, oh, brand, it's a logo, it's a color palette, but there's so much behind it, the vision, it's essentially the heart, the why, the kind of bringing everybody
Yeah.
together. And
Absolutely,
yeah,
yeah, and you've
yeah,
got your purpose, you've got your values in there,
exactly.
you've got your reason of being, and if you get it right, you know it's you can create an emotional reaction with people by your
Mm,
brand. And I know I was joking with the Capita one a little bit, but that was an emotional reaction that it
mm,
created. Not saying that we wanted it to create that, but people did know what it was, and I think that's why I love brand. It transitions into that sort of left and right brain bit, in
yeah,
that you get it right, and you're switching on the emotional side of the brain,
yeah,
and then because somebody wants a piece of that, I want to be with that, I want to be in that tribe, or
yes,
I want
yeah.
to be seen to be associated with it. Yeah, yes, I love it.
and that and that's where I think you're being like a not disruptor, but you're being unique. You're being what differentiates you from the crowd, from the wider,
Exactly. Yeah,
small fish in a big pond type of thing.
yeah.
It's kind of to sift through that noise. How can you sift through that noise with your brand, your people, your what you represent, that kind of thing. Now, I think it's brilliant,
Absolutely.
and yeah, you shine when you talk about brands. So it's brilliant. It's brilliant. Is there an area of marketing that you like the least, and why?
So that, like, I'm always I think my team would probably be able to answer that better than me, but I am probably on the creative side than the data crunching side. So
Yes, yeah.
I on the budgeting side, but don't tell my CFO that. So I tend to have work always with a really strong second person that can do the
Mm,
bits, my yin to
the
my yang,
yang.
or the yin to my yang, or whatever But yeah, because I get ideas and I want to do things and things like that, but I often need somebody to go, right, well, if you're going to do, you want to achieve that, then this is the systems or the processes that we need to
That we're
put it
gonna
in.
do
That's
it.
probably, yeah. And I think that's you know where I can do it and I will do it and I can sit down and do it, but I'm probably not the most methodological person. I'm more creative than that. So, but yeah, I mean, I love most things, but there's not one bit of my job I don't love, really.
No,
If
yeah,
in the whole scheme of things, it's like the whole that makes it, the whole of it that makes it
makes it.
rewarding. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's things about marketing that I dislike that other people perceive about marketing. So
Mm,
I get, and as I get older, I'm probably getting a little bit more grumpy old lady about it. But this perception that, marketing's easy and that actually anybody can do it. And you said it was about brand, it's about colours. Well, you just pick a colour, don't you? Or you just draw it pretty, colouring in. Oh, here come the colourings, and I think marketing isn't easy. It's really quite challenging. And it is really it's challenging. There is a science element of it as well as a creative element of it. And you can't just you know think that you can come into marketing and launch a successful campaign. But through life, and I'm sure you get this as well, Gemma, many people will have their opinion about marketing and like to tell you how it should be done and what would
definitely.
work.
Definitely. Which is probably leading on to my next question, because from your experience, what are the misconceptions do people have about marketing? And I think you've just mentioned it there now. Oh, the coloring in, or oh,
Yeah,
that's easy. Oh, I can go off and do that. Or,
yeah,
I think there's multiple layers, factors. There's a lot which goes into marketing because there's different channels, different
yeah,
content, different types of content.
yeah.
There's content creation. There's multiple different things that play a part in it.
Exactly. And you can't, when you're putting together a campaign and we're doing one at the moment, actually, for the call I had before I came on with you. And we know what we want to achieve and we know what the industry challenge is. So we know what we want to achieve. So, but we are struggling finding the target audience and
Mm,
how identifying the target audience. And actually, people say, oh, well, let's go and let's do it. There's loads of them. Let's go. But you've got to find the right people. And you've got to find the decision makers, and you've got to find also then the influencers, and you've got to
yeah,
find the whole decision making unit before you get your target market right. And then once you get your target market right, then you've got to think about what messages for each, and then you've got to test some things, and you've got to
yeah.
create the assets, and you've got to test the assets. So you've got to set this all the way right round and measure it. Was it successful? So and there's lots of elements, and um, it's more technical than anybody ever thinks. I think marketing especially these
Yeah,
days.
yeah, yeah.
I would say, if I compare to what we did 25 years ago, it's much more technical, and many more things can go wrong, but you have many more tools that you can pull the levers on to make them go right as well. But it's finding in all of those tools that you've got, all those channels that you've got, you're pulling the right levers and pushing them at the right time to get the perfect combo, to get the best return on investment. And you don't just, as you don't just launch a campaign and then go, oh, there we go, let it run. you know
Yeah.
you're constantly eyeballing it, constantly looking. We tweak that, we change that, let's A/B test that, let's do this, let's try that with a video in it for a couple of weeks. It's just always looking to get better and better results, isn't it? And improve them.
Def- Definitely. And then there's that hybrid. Is it like more traditional and a mix of digital? Is it purely digital? Or yet, it's kind of, yeah, you're constantly at like,
Yeah,
stakeholders, who needs to be involved, what needs to be
yeah.
involved, who's
And I,
speaking at an event, who's involved, there's loads of
yeah,
things.
totally. And I think as our marketing environment gets more technological and more
Mm,
I think the less other people in other departments understand marketing. And I think,
Yeah,
one of the things I keep saying to my team is we have to educate upwards a little bit better about what
definitely.
we can do and what we can achieve and the capabilities that we've now got. And, you will still get the person out there that says, well, marketing, isn't that all about, pens and golf days? Even now. And I just say, like, we have to continually educate, I think, about what we can achieve and what we can
Yeah.
do for people, how targeted we can get, how we can understand people's likes, preferences, movements through the internet. It's amazing. It's fascinating, isn't it? But
It is. It
also, we're
is.
leaving people behind. That's the thing. We've got to take everyone with
Take
us.
people with us. Yeah,
Yeah, so that they can understand the value we can add. Because I think if we don't take them on the journey with us, then they don't understand what we're capable of achieving for them.
100%, 100%. It's that kind of constant, yeah, education piece. I think definitely. Sales and marketing alignment. What's your thoughts?
Oh, I love our sales team. I think it's um I am really well aligned with the sales team in this organization, but it's a different I would say it's a totally different buying cycle length and pattern than in my last organization
Yeah.
that I worked for. That was SaaS and a technology software company. And where we live or breathe by the number of MQLs that we created for sales and the quality of those MQLs. And then there was always that arguing about, well, the quality and the volume that should be required and things like that. It's a love. It can be. It can be a love-hate relationship, but I think it's mainly love, because I think, without each other, we're
Yes.
nothing. We're like symbiotic, or is that the word, where in from biology, where
Yeah.
you need each other? Yeah. So
Yes.
marketing needs sales to make those sales, because then they're getting the revenue in, which will then make budgeting so much easier the next year. And sales need marketing to give them those really high quality leads. So without each other, we're nothing. um well, sales might never say that, but I think without each other we're nothing, and we got to work together. So I think,
Yeah.
in my experience, if you can get that sales and marketing relationship working right from the top, so your chief revenue officer and your
Yeah.
CMO, all the way down, and showing each other that respect and open communication, and acceptances of each other's wins and fails, then I think then that goes to say a lot for the culture of the whole relationship. So,
Mm,
I think, if you can get it right at the top, then you can get it, then you can get it right. But it will always be challenging, when it, Gemma.
definitely. And I think you've nailed it in terms of your perspective as well, because when it comes to strategy in an organization, marketing and sales really needs to align with what that sort of the whole all up business strategy is. And I think
Yeah,
it's kind
yeah,
of like there's three, there's the business, there's marketing and sales. It's that kind of
yeah,
triangle kind
yeah,
of and they all need to be included into the boardroom, have the conversation and be really aligned, because essentially they're driving bottom line. It's highly targeted. Um, and it's a very
yeah.
pressured environment, in terms of that.
Yeah, it's a really pressurized environment, and I think you also get quite, as everybody knows, you get very different personalities working in sales to
Yes,
you do in
yes,
marketing.
yes.
And those personalities, might not necessarily choose each other for dinner parties, you know, because, they're just maybe not naturally, going to be best mates. But I think you can find ways to work together. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Like, you cannot develop a
Mm,
strategy one without the other. You just can't.
it's
And
just
yeah. And so, aligned and together, we will always be forevermore. And so we got to work at that. and you've got to work hard. It's
Definitely.
like a marriage, right? You know,
It
it's
is.
like
It is.
you have to work at a marriage, and if you know the communication channels break down, and then you get resentment and annoyance and whatever on both sides, and you have to work to keep those channels open and keep talking to each other. And
Yeah.
I think that's marketing and sales need to be married. So the divorce is going to be awful.
Definitely. We'll keep knocking. We'll each keep knocking and
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, it's gotta be done, gotta be done. It
yeah.
seems like, you'd a day in the life of Jenny is quite busy. There's a lot of things to kind of consider. You're working with your teams and driving, the strategy and campaigns and execution and so on. Work-life balance.
Mm.
How do you create that? You've mentioned some examples before earlier on in the podcast, but tell us a bit more about that.
Yeah, I'm a big outdoorsy person. I like being outdoors, and I think, yeah. So I've got my dog. I love walking my dog. My daughter's gone to university now. Yes, I'm that old. So I have a bit more free time. I have an allotment, and which makes me
Oh,
sound very northern and very old, but actually it's a very useful thing, all that gardening and growing vegetables. And I find, this time of year, the weather's great, being up there, planting things, growing things, watching them grow, and then
nice.
harvesting them. I absolutely love it. And you got a lot of thinking time up there as well. So I spend a lot of time on my allotment, walking the dog, and being where I live. I'm quite close to the countryside, so that's quite nice. But I've got a little I've got a pet project as well. It's not a pet project. That sounds a bit rude, but where I live, there was we have the last working Edwardian swimming baths in Manchester, and
Oh,
the council were closing it about 8 years ago, and the community saved it, and it was on its last legs. There was a lot of leaking and things like that, and over the years, so I sit on the board of directors. For that, and over the years, over the last 8 years, we've sort of brought it back to life, restored it, with Heritage Lottery Fund grants, and we have put tiles back. We've put vaulted glass
oh,
ceilings back in,
nice.
and we've basically created something that's at the heart of the community again.
Yeah.
We've created a yoga studio and all that kind of thing. So anyway, long story short, that is also something that takes quite a lot of my time. It's a bit like a busman's holiday, right? So because I've got a marketing background, I get asked to do the marketing and comms strategy for the baths, which I love. But I also have a wider business sort of input into it.
Mm,
So it's turning over about 1.2 million. So it's kind of a large small business, and that's a fascinating project to be involved in, and something that takes my mind off work, but into something that's also stimulating. So when I'm not digging the ground and thinking about marketing and what I need to do, I'm probably up at the baths, working on something with them, and or either that or doing a yoga class with them. So
oh, incredible. Is
yeah.
this place open to the public? Can the
Oh
public
yes.
go and oh,
Yeah, so it's a not-for-profit. So now we all our money comes from our members who
oh,
come in. The public can come in. You can go pay as you go. Yeah, and so that's how we get the turnover, and all that money goes back into restoring it and making it even better for future
oh, I
generations. So
love it. Oh,
yeah,
that sounds amazing.
it's a
Gosh.
it's a beautiful place to be. It's just
Oh,
stunning. And if you're swimming in the morning, sometimes I go for a swim in the morning, you look up and we put these restored this glass vaulted ceiling. You can just look up at the beautiful Manchester, either blue or white or grey.
or grey.
Grey. But
That's
it's
brilliant.
just a lovely place to be. Yeah.
Oh, that sounds
Yeah.
awesome. Which brings me to
Mm.
my next question.
Yes.
What is your passion in life and what drives you?
Gosh. I don't know what my passion in life is. I think I probably I think if I think about what I like to do in my private life, and in outside of work, and if I like to do what I like to do in work, I like to make a difference. And
Mm,
whether that difference is, bringing home 3 cauliflowers because I've grown them from a seed, or if that difference is, executing a campaign that's delivered a new piece of business, or if it's something up at the baths, like restoring one of the rooms and getting the original tiles back on there, or something like. Yeah, I like to see a difference that I've made. I like to feel
mm,
like I'm contributing. So I think my passion is making contributions and making a difference. I
yeah.
think would that be a passion, Gemma?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah. I think you've hit the nail on the head there. Yeah, making a
yeah.
difference. And I think, and the reason why it's great what you said as well, because you can kind of see it throughout the podcast with certain things that you're involved in, how you
Oh,
show up within your
yeah,
organization now. And, it's
yeah,
not just, if I'm honest, it's not just a 9 to 5. It's something that you really relish in and love and bring people together and get people are passionate about, that kind
yeah.
of um yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've always felt, Jamie, you spend a lot of time at work, right? We
Mm,
all know we
yeah.
spend a lot of time at work. If you don't, there's no, I feel like because I'm going to do it, I've got to give it everything, and I've got to
Yeah.
love it, and I want to love it, and I want to give it my all. Otherwise, what's the point in doing it?
Yeah.
So I think, the minute that you don't love it anymore, then you should get out. And that's why probably I stayed so long at Capita, because I did love it so much.
Yeah.
There wasn't, it just kept giving to me, and I kept giving back, and that was great. And but we've got to love what we do, you're right.
You definitely have to.
Yeah.
Um
We only have
it's
one life, so like you gotta live it to your max and be really happy.
oh, you do,
Yeah,
you do.
yeah,
Just out
yeah.
of interest, is there somebody that inspires you? And it could be someone or maybe a group of people or
I get inspired by people all the time. I just not one person. I don't think. I don't go. Oh, that person inspires me. I want to be like that. But I feel inspiration from people all the time. No matter. I was very lucky, and this will. I'm sorry, this is going to date your podcast, but I got to go to Anfield yesterday for Klopp's last match, and
oh
um
yeah.
and I was inspired by every single LFC supporter in that stadium, the way that they give their all for their team and for the manager that they loved. And that brought me to tears, basically, because it was just
Oh.
so moving. And it was just people, loving something so passionately. And that really inspired,
Mm,
that inspired me, I think, about, what you're doing, you've got to love it. And then I think so. There's different people inspire me all the time. I'm sorry, that's
mm.
not a very great answer,
No,
is
no,
it?
it's
But
great. It's great because you talked about earlier about tribe and community and just that kind of
yeah,
purpose and everyone's showing
yeah,
up because
yeah,
they're they're clear of, even going back to the brand, they're clear on the brand, they're clear on the purpose, they're clear on the why, they're clear on,
yeah,
this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to, every season go out there,
yeah,
be at the top of the league or whatnot. And
yeah,
that's
yeah.
what that's what it's
And
about, bringing
everybody,
people on the
yeah,
journey.
absolutely. Everybody's pushing in the same direction.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I love that about any company where everybody, it doesn't, somebody's success is everyone's success.
Mm, yeah, I
Where in
agree.
companies where it's like that, and I love that about Sigma Connected at the moment. Actually, everybody's pushing in the same way, and
Yes.
that that that's inspiring. And then I'll go to the baths and I'll see. We had Andy Burnham, who's the mayor of Manchester, come and visit us at the baths, and our oldest member, a guy called Tommy, came and to meet him, and he's inspiring in his own right, because he's 80 odd and he's still coming to the baths every day for a little swim,
Mm,
because he wants to keep fit. He likes the social aspect of it. He doesn't want to give up yet. Yeah, he's not ready
no.
to give up on his life. And he came down to see Andy Burnham and say hi to him and all that kind of thing. And And I just thought, God, he's inspiring because, he's just living, still loving and living
Yeah.
his life as much as he can.
That's amazing. I think it goes back to what you said earlier as well. You've only got one life, so you've got to live it and be happy, and yeah, it's so
Yeah.
important. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Um, I sort of set myself a career challenge that I wanted to be a CMO before I retired. I mean,
Okay.
I've got ages before I retire, clearly. But in 5 years, I would like to finally be a CMO. So I don't know why. I know it's only a title, and I could be a CMO by any other name, possibly already, but but I'm
Yeah.
not. I'm a group marketing director. So
Yeah.
in 5 years, Gemma, if I'm not a CMO, come and tell me off. Tell me I've not done it. I've not made it. I need to try a little bit harder. I just so yeah. So at 5 years time, I'd love to still be at Sigma Connected and working with them and keeping that the feel that we've got in this organization. But let's hope they make me a CMO by then. But yeah, I don't see myself giving up work anytime soon. I don't see the
No.
need. I enjoy what I do, and I'm still doing it well, I believe. So it's the day I think when I just think maybe I need to step aside for the youngsters that I'll give up, but not yet.
Ah, awesome. You still got fight in you yet, so that's
I
great.
definitely.
What do you want to be remembered by?
I guess two things, I guess. One is making a difference, which is
Hmm.
probably what my passion, which was probably half answering that one there. But I want to make a difference, and I want people to remember the difference that I've made. Like, she made a real difference here, or whatever that is. But also for not taking life too seriously. I think, if you can't have a laugh and a joke through your working day, as well
Yeah.
as getting the job done, so I probably, and I think, I probably have achieved that if I reflect back on my teams and things that people say to me, I like to have a bit of fun as well as doing the job.
Oh, that's brilliant. That is
So
brilliant.
hopefully people remember me for that.
Oh,
Not
great
laughing at me,
stuff.
laughing at with me, Gemma. That's what we
With
hope.
makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. If you had a chance to be a superhero or have superpower or powers, who would that be or what would that be and why?
So I don't think I need to be a superhero because you know I can't be bothered with that getting changed and unchanged all the time, right? But if I could have a power, and I've
Yes.
always thought this, it would be teleporting, like on Star Wars,
Mm.
because I always used to, when I was a youngster and I used to go out and you used to be waiting for the night bus home, right? I went out in the days when there was no such thing as like kids these days, my daughter, I just get an Uber. Like, I never got Ubers. We waited for night buses, yeah? We walked home. Um,
Yeah.
we mainly waited for night buses. I used to think, oh my God, I've got to wait half an hour for a night bus, and then it's
Mm.
40 minutes on the night bus. I wish I could just teleport myself home. And I just often think that at the end of a night out, and you've got to like, if I could just teleport myself somewhere, that would just like cut out all that traveling time. So that would be my
That
special skill.
that would be awesome. I think it has come up before where they could like take themselves to France or take themselves to Spain or.
Yeah, well, there you go. That's teleporting, isn't it? You just have to. I just always think of that Star Wars thing when they go, and they went, and then they landed on the like planet with some foam rocks behind them.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Um, just a few more questions. If you had to ask the audience a question, what would that be?
Oh, if I had to, mm, that's hard. I think it would be perhaps something around branding and like what makes you loyal to a brand.
Mm,
What is the most important aspects around brand loyalty? And is it service? Is it product? Is it price? Is it is it the marketing around it? Is it the fact that, you're with like-minded people? I probably something around that, because I find, that's part of what interests me, that kind of thing really interests me anyway. And I do think people's brand loyalty and things, I think the reasons for being loyal to a brand has shifted. And I think, gone are the days of choosing things because it is, like the IBMs of the world, because it's a safe bet. You nobody's gets
Mm,
sacked for choosing IBM. These days people are looking at, well, what are their sustainable business
mm,
credentials and responsible
yes.
business credentials? What are they? How do they treat their employees, and what is their
Mm,
EMPS score, and things that are, um, you know, it's not just the biggest, the best, the safest, the surest. It's now
mm,
also what's that business's purpose? What are their values? What do they? I believe, and
mm.
so perhaps I'd like to ask other people. Is that correct? Is it shifting, and how much has it shifted? And if it has shifted, ultimately, when you're making a buying decision, does it still come down to price though? Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Or does it
Yeah.
still come down to the fact that you're going to get great service afterwards? Or will you let those things that are emerging sort of deciding factors in why you pick a certain brand to work with, will they trump everything else?
Yeah. It could be multiple different sort of factors that you've just mentioned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think we find that at the moment in tenders and things like that, people will ask all these questions.
Mm.
What's your employee X policy? What's your green? What's this? What's this? But ultimately, when the tender's marked, it comes down to price.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I'd be
Prices.
interested. Yeah, so I'd be interested to learn more about that, I think. And then I think your audience might be able to give you a bit of insight into that.
Definitely. That's a very good question. Yeah. That definitely watch this space. Watch this
Yeah.
space. Do you have any final words you would like to share?
Um, I guess, final words, not really. I think, this has been really enjoyable. I've really enjoyed chatting to you, Gemma, and it's been the highlight of my Monday so far. Obviously, people will be listening to it on different days. I guess, you know, enjoy what you do,
Mm.
laugh a lot, make sure there's some fun in your life, and but enjoy your job and enjoy your role. And if you're not enjoying it, do something about it, because that's in your gift.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's
That's it.
brilliant. Just want to say, Jenny, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure. I've got so much joy from this podcast. I like my face hurts. I've been smiling so much. So thank you very much for making me smile so much. On a
Oh,
on a
thank you for
Monday.
inviting me on, Gemma. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you so much and have a great rest of the day.
You too.
Take
Thank you.
care.
Bye.
Bye.